Hello, everyone. How's all my lovelies doing? Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello. Hey, Tara. Hey, Pink. Hey, Kimmy. Hey, Pamela. Hey, Sandra. Miss Joel. Hopefully everybody had a great Thanksgiving. Hey, Melanie. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Hello. Starbucks, hey, cannot go wrong with that, right? Hey, over there in the white channel. What did I just do? Jeez. I had a great one. Missed you, Julie. How are you feeling? Our beloved Julie has not been feeling well. Come on in. Tonight is case number 4. And I have to say, the response that I have received on this case is mind-boggling, to say the least. I mean it. Like, wow. Like, crazy wow. And y'all know the case I'm talking about, right? Robert the Doll. We are approaching this case with respect. Serious respect. Ooh, a treasure box. Hey, Tracy. Hey, Shirley Thurlby. Let's start sharing this live. Let's get it out. Let's get it out there. Repost. Sing your dailies. Hey, boss man. You're excited for this story? Oh, you should be, Pat. Yeah, Pete. This one. Hello, Kimmy. on in, make yourselves at home. Tonight is Robert the Doll. Hey, X. Thank you. Thank you for that lovely present. Thank you. I have the fairest lashes. You cannot see them until I put something on them. Boom, boom, boom. Hello, Magic. Hey, Palm. Who's excited about this case? I know I am. Hello, Jane. Hello, Ginger Moore. Everybody have a good Thanksgiving. Do, 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 do. Minutes. The videos were amazing today. Thank you all so much. You've been looking forward to it, Kimberly? Good. Hey, Janelle, welcome in. You've never heard of Robert the Doll? Really? Oh, Ginger, I can't wait for you to read it. Thank you so much. Let's go to the FYF. Let's get the FYF. Let's reshare. Let's repost. And let's tap, tappity, tap, tap, tap. I've got to make a quick music change. Just 1 second. I'm looking at. I don't see. Let me see. Let me look at that again. Hey Diana, hi Mia. Hey, who's that girl? Let's get a few more in. Howdy, howdy. You've never heard of Robert the Doll? Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you for lighting up the Bewitched Boutique. We'll have to come up with another name for this one. That's all I've got right now. Let's share, share, share. Hey, Christine, welcome in. So glad you made it. Who's that girl? Hello, Robin Walling. Welcome in. Hello, Andrew. Welcome to Paranormal Files Live. I am Bryn Morgan. And can you believe it that tonight we are getting ready to investigate our fourth case? What? And boy, did I choose a doozy. Well, it was based on one of my night watchers, Palm. Thank you. Tonight we are going to be investigating Robert the doll. I'm going to show you a few pictures of this delightful toy. For those of you who are just coming in, my name is Bryn Morgan. I'm a horror author and I love anything paranormal. And tonight we're going deep, we're going dark into a case that literally gives me the chills. And be very respectful of who we're speaking of tonight. This is Robert the doll. Maybe we turn it that way. That'll work. I'm trying to get it in the same camera angle. Isn't he delightful? No. Stop. Oh, for goodness sake. We'll just turn him like that. I think he likes it better. He looks like a perfectly harmless doll, doesn't he? But for the next 3 nights, we are going to investigate this case of Robert the doll very, very thoroughly. He's so cute. Kids get a little miniature doll of him. Have great respect for Robert. Hello, Jen Rocks. Ginger Moore says she loves it already. Georgia Bell and Mary Catherine are thrilled to hear this one. Are we ready to dive in? Then let's begin. You've been working at the museum for quite some time. None of the objects in the museum bother you, except for one, and you try to avoid it at all costs. Because the first couple years that you've worked there, nothing happened. And then one day, a woman walks in and wants to donate a doll. You look at it, and something just doesn't sit right with you. You're locking up for the night. The last visitor has just left. You're getting ready to close the door and lock it. And then you hear footsteps echoing in an empty museum. Keys jangling, a door unlocking, and then silence. This is the East Martello Museum in Key West, Florida, and it's after hours. And in a glass case, on the second floor, sits a doll, just over 4 feet tall, wearing a sailor suit, button eyes, stitched mouth, holding a stuffed dog. He's been sitting in that case since 1994. His name is Robert. And according to hundreds of visitors, dozens of museum staff, and over a century of witnesses, Robert is alive. A museum guard once said, I swear I locked that case. I always lock that case. But when I came back, the position had changed. He was turned toward the door like he was watching me leave. I'm telling you, something's wrong with that doll. Something's badly wrong with that doll. Robert the doll has been blamed for many things, seekers. Failed relationships, car accidents, lost jobs, illness, but more importantly, death. Oh yeah, not just one case as in the Bell Witch, but quite a few. The museum receives letters every week, sometimes every day, from people apologizing to Robert, begging for forgiveness, pleading for him to lift the curse off their lives. One such letter says, Dear Robert, I'm sorry I laughed at you. I was with my friends and they were laughing, so I decided to laugh too. My life has fallen apart since I visited. I believe in you now. I'm sorry. Jack. Welcome to Paranormal Files Live. I'm Bryn Morgan, and tonight, Seekers, we begin the investigation of America's most haunted doll. It's not known about in just Florida. It's not known about in just the States. It's known worldwide as being the most haunted doll in America. Are you ready to dive in? Let me know in the comments. Hello, LTL Mama, bring it on. All right. Even more so than Annabelle. Yes. We're not starting with the museum. We'll get to that later. We're starting in 1906 in Key West with a little boy named Gene Otto. Let me show you a picture of him. This is Gene. Robert Gene Otto. Cutest little boy. Hey, Peanut. So we're starting with a little boy named Gene Otto and the doll that his family gave him. Or did they? Welcome, seekers. Tonight we begin a new investigation, a new case, a new mystery. Robert the Doll, and I am excited to dive into this one. Before we dive in, I need to know who's here. Drop it in the chat. Have you heard of Robert? Say you know the case. Are you new to Robert? If this is your first time hearing about him, say first time. And your location. Where are you from? I'm from South Carolina. We have people all over the country that join this live and the world. I know the case, known. First time Mystic. Oh, you're gonna love it. First time from NC. You never heard of it, Ginger Moore. Look at this. Bird Lady, first time. Rhonda, first time. Diana, first time. Julie says, I know the case and I respect you, Robert. Yes, we all respect you. Sandy's mama, I've heard about him. Tracy, first time. Wow. Okay, very nice. Karen from Alabama, first time. Kimberly, we must respect him. There is a healthy respect for this doll, and you're gonna find out why. Tennessee, not my first time, and I know the doll. Let me ask you this. Has anyone ever visited the doll? I believe that Renee had visited the doll, and she said that there was just something about it. I think I heard about him. Yes, I've been to Key West too. Polite to the doll. Peanut butter and booty, hello. So it's a good mix. For those who know Robert, I'm warning you. We're going deep. Beyond the tourist legend, into the real history, the real family, the real incidents. For those new to Robert, welcome to one of the strangest cases in American paranormal history. Quick gut check before we begin. Do you believe that objects can be haunted? Not houses, not locations, but objects. Drop a yes or a no in the comments. Yes, I do. Definitely. Absolutely. Yes, I do. Yes, I believe. Definitely there is something about that doll. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, I believe. Yep. Good. So it appears that most of you do believe in haunted objects in this case. And if you do, that's all right. Just keep in mind as we investigate, because Robert challenges both perspectives. Tonight, night one, we will investigate Robert Eugene Otto, the boy who owned Robert. Key West, 1906, when Robert entered the Otto family. The Bohemian servant who allegedly cursed the doll, perhaps? Jean's childhood with Robert. Disturbing. The incidents that made neighbors whisper the things that they saw. And the question, was Robert a beloved toy, a coping mechanism, or something darker? This is a long investigation. Robert's story spans 118 years. From 1906 to right now, this moment, as Robert sits in his glass case in Key West. And may I remind you, someone just suffered a very fatal passing that just happened to be in possession of Robert the doll. And people are still reporting incidents to this day. In fact, the one that I am speaking about, I believe, was just a few months ago. And I remember when I came into our chat on Discord, I remember hearing, did you know that such and such passed away, that he was in possession of Robert the doll? And that was terrifying to me. Ready to investigate? Let's meet the boy who started it all. Key West, Florida, 1906. It's a very different place than the tourist destination that it is today. We went back in 2018 before the pandemic, and it was absolutely charming. The mansions, the chickens chasing you down the roads, the iguanas, it was great. And it was hotter than hell. It's a remote island, accessible only by boat. Hot, humid, isolated. Now there's the 7-mile bridge that connects the islands, but it's lovely. The wealthy families here in 1906 were mostly cigar manufacturers and shipping magnates. They lived in large Victorian houses with servants, mostly Bahamian immigrants. One of these families, the Ottos, is who we're going to be speaking about. Are you ready to meet our cast? Thomas Otto, successful businessman, prominent in Key West society. Minnie Otto, his wife, from a very wealthy family. Robert Eugene Otto, born in 1900, their only child, called Jean by family. They live in a large house. Let me see if I can find you a picture. It's right in the heart of Key West. Hello, Johnny Jones, Navy Jones, welcome in. Oh, it's a gorgeous house. Let me see if I can find another pic. Here's another one. This one's more black and white, but you can really see the detail. It's gorgeous. It's a beautiful home. So they live in a large house at 534 Eden Street. It's a beautiful Victorian mansion that still stands today. I saw it. It's now known as the Artist House. We'll get to why. Gene Otto at the time is 6 years old in 1906. He's precocious, he's artistic, he's imaginative, and unfortunately, with him being an only child, he's also lonely. Being an only child in a big house with mostly adult servants for company, Gene creates elaborate imaginary worlds. He draws, he builds things, he talks to himself. His parents worry slightly, but chalk it up to, oh, he's an only child. He'll grow out of it. Right. And then Robert arrives. Here's a question for you. How many of you were only children, or know only children who had imaginary friends? Drop a me if this describes you. Were you an only child? Kimberly? Yes? Hey, Pee-wee? Tabby? I was. Firefly, hello. Cindy's mama, me. Kimmy, me. Renee, me. Hello, Zoe Johnson. Welcome in. No, but you had an imaginary friend? Haven't we all? So a lot of you were an only child, but a lot of you had imaginary friends. This is important context. Only children often create companions. It's developmentally normal, actually. I did a lot of studying on it. You would not believe actors, famous people that had an imaginary friend as a child. Keep that in mind as we investigate Gene Otto's relationship with Robert. Now we get into the murky part, because there are multiple versions of how Robert came to be into the Otto household. We'll start with the first one. I'm going to present all versions to you, then we'll investigate which is most likely true. So, version 1 is the Bohemian servant curse. Now, this is the most famous version. The story goes that the Otto family employed a Bohemian servant woman named Eliza, but sometimes you hear different names. The woman was odd. Her behavior was odd, but she took a liking to the little boy, to Gene. It is also rumored that she practiced voodoo or Santeria or some form of Caribbean folk magic. She was either mistreated by the Otto family and wanted revenge, or she was angry at being fired. Either way, she was very hostile to the family. It is said that one day Mr. Otto just walked in and told her to leave. So she made or purchased a doll specifically to curse young Gene Otto. She gave the doll to Gene as a gift, but secretly imbued it with dark magic, intended to torment the child. But then some say again that she loved Gene. Evidence for this version makes for a dramatic origin story, doesn't it? Voodoo dolls are a real practice in Caribbean culture. The Otto family did employ Bohemian servants. This version has been repeated for decades. Evidence against this version: no documentation of the servant's name, no record of anyone being fired or mistreated. Gene Otto himself never confirmed this story, but again, he was 6. This version only became popular between the 1970s and the 1990s. Sounds suspiciously like a horror movie plot. Version 2, The Family Gift. Jean's parents or grandfather, that was from Germany, commissioned or purchased a doll for Jean's birthday as a Christmas gift around 1906. Now, this doll was likely made by the Steiff Company in Germany. It was a high-end toy manufacturer. It was about 4 feet tall, well crafted. Its whole body was made of leather. That's why you see some of the marks, the pock marks on the face, because the leather has just kind of worn away over time. But it was well crafted and well loved by Jean, and it was expensive. This was not a doll that, came from just some ordinary toy store. It was the same height as Jean. Jean wakes up on Christmas morning. His mother and father are still asleep. He goes down the grand curving staircase, and there beneath the tree, he sees it. A boy in a sailor suit. He looks just like him. So he runs over to the doll, can barely pick him up because he's so heavy being made of leather, and he loves it. He grabs it, put his arm around it, drags it up the stairs to his mother and father's room. Mommy, Daddy, look what Santa brought me. And they smile. It's perfect. He loves it and loves it so much that he names it Robert, because Jean's first name is Robert as well. Robert Eugene Otto became Jean, and the doll became Robert. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. Evidence for this version. The doll's construction suggests German manufacturing, Steiff style. Wealthy families in the area did give elaborate toys. Now, there is a little bit of a question mark on whether it was a birthday present or a Christmas present, but many lean toward Christmas. This is more historically plausible. No evidence of a curse needed, just a kid with a doll. Evidence against this version. Less dramatic, doesn't explain the later incidents or the deaths. Doesn't account for the doll's alleged behavior either. Version number 3, the servant gift. A Bohemian servant did give Jean the doll, they say, but not as a gift. It was a birthday present. She may have made it herself or purchased it. No malice intended, just a toy for a lonely child. Later incidents were then retconned into the curse narrative. Evidence for this version. Servants often did give gifts to children that they cared for. Handmade quality of some of Robert's clothing suggests this. It was suggested that the servant is the one who made the sailor suit. Explains both the servant connection and the lack of malice. Jean's family may have accepted a servant's gift. Evidence against this version. No documentation, and it's completely based on speculation. So, it's time for detective work. Which version sounds most plausible to you, based on the evidence? Version 1, cursed by an angry servant. Version 2, a normal family gift from a family member in Germany. Version 3, a kind servant gift. No curse. Over 4 feet tall. Hello, Witch of Salt Lake. Thank you for the follow. I love your name. Ginger Moore says version 1. Mia, thank you for the share. Pink goes with 1. Melanie goes with 1. Tracy goes with 1. Palm goes with 3. I'm gonna go. Thank you so much, Ginger. Thank you. I'm gonna go with Kimberly says 1. Bossman says 3. I'm gonna go with hey Tabby, I'm gonna go with I'm gonna say a normal family gift. So most of you are going with version 2 or 3, but a lot of you are going with the cursed servant story. Because it's compelling and it's at least supported by evidence. I mean, in a way, I want to lean toward that because when you hear everything that was experienced in this house by this doll, you might change your mind. And it emerged long after the fact. My investigative assessment here is that Robert was most likely a normal toy, either purchased by the family or gifted by a servant. No curse, no malice, just a doll. But, and this is important, the perception of a curse may have developed later to explain Jean's unusual relationship with the doll. We'll explore that relationship right now. Jean Otto is 6 years old when Robert enters his life. And immediately the doll becomes his constant companion. Not unusual for a child, right? Kids love their toys. I loved my Raggedy Ann and Andy. But Jean's attachment to Robert and my strawberry shortcake and all my Barbies and, well, we would talk about my dolls all night. But Jean's attachment to Robert is intense, to say the least. What the family and neighbors observed in the Otto house. Observation number 1. From the moment that Jean laid his eyes on Robert, he absolutely loved him. He went with him everywhere. He sat at the kitchen table. He was up there with him when he took a bath. He was up there in his room when he was sleeping. But one thing that many Otto began to notice is that Jean talked to Robert constantly. Not just playing, full conversations. Jean would speak, pause, and then respond as if Robert answered. Sometimes the conversations went to arguments, very argumentative. Jean was getting upset with Robert's opinions. Observation number 2. Jean insisted to his mother and his father and the servants that Robert was real. So there was this one day that Minnie was having a party. It was a luncheon for some of the ladies in the Key West area. Remember, they were very wealthy. And so she told Gene to sit in the parlor just across the way with his doll, but to be quiet because she needed to focus on the party. Well, then she heard him talking, and it escalated into not just a soft conversation between a boy and his doll, but an out and out argument. So much so that it raised the attention of the women who were in the kitchen. And one of them asked Minnie, "Is Robert okay?" Jean walks over to Minnie and says, "Mother." And she says, "Darling, can't you see that I am in the middle of our guest?" And he says, "He wants my name. He doesn't want me to be called Robert anymore. He just wants me to be called Gene." So Minnie looks at Robert and says, "Dearest boy, your doll is a doll. He doesn't want your name. He doesn't even have a brain, honey. It's nothing but tissue and cotton in there. So, no, he doesn't want your name." Yes, he does. He does want it. And then Jane began to state that and insisted that Robert had thoughts, feelings, preferences. For example, if he was called anything but Robert, he had told Jean that he would destroy things. He said that he had feelings, and he didn't like anyone picking him up by the arm. If you were going to hold him, you would hold him as a normal boy. He had preferences. He preferred to sleep on the left side of the bed so he could see outside. Jean began to exhibit behavior, especially when one of the servants would grab Robert up by the arm and pull him up the stairs because it was Jean's bedtime. He would scream and kick and try to push and say, "He doesn't want you to treat him like that. He doesn't want you pulling him by the arm. Stop it. You're going to make him mad." Observation number 3. Jean blamed Robert for all of the misbehavior in the Otto household. It started out very small. Items knocked over. Minnie would ask her son, "What did you do? Why did you do that?" "I didn't do it." "Well, then who did?" "Robert. Robert did it." But then things began to break. Expensive things. "Shh, Robert, what did you do?" "I didn't do it, Mommy. It was Robert. Robert broke it." And then they would come up in the middle of the afternoon, and one of the requirements was that Jean had to clean his room. It had to be spotless. So when Minnie would go up and inspect it and see that it was destroyed, curtains pulled off the windows, blankets off the beds, toys scattered everywhere, some of them broken, guess who got the blame? Jean. Observation number 4. Jean insists that the servant set a place at the table for Robert at meals. Robert got his own chair, his own plate, his own silverware, and Jean would feed Robert. Observation number 5, and this was the oddest one. So one morning at breakfast, Gene is sitting at the table and he's all sad. And his mother asked him, "What's wrong?" And he says, "Robert doesn't want me sleeping in the bedroom anymore. He wants that bedroom and wants me to take the one next to him." This concerned Minnie. "What, son?" "He wants the better bedroom. He wants my bedroom and wants me to take the smaller one to him." "Gene, this is just going too far." And then Gene's father speaks up and says, "Why would you want a smaller room?" "You know what? I don't have time to bother with it. If you want a smaller bedroom just to give it to your doll, then so be it." So, that very afternoon, Gene moved to a smaller room next to Robert the doll. He gave Robert the larger room because Robert wanted the room with the most light and wanted to see the streets and the houses beyond. He insisted that Robert needed more space to move around. Here's a child development question for you. Is this normal imaginative play or something concerning? Drop your assessment in the chat. I think it's very concerning. I think that, hey Stevie, I think that it's very concerning. Move around, oh my, yes. Sandy says concerning, X says concerning, Palm says something concerning, Karen says concerning, Tracy says weird, Melanie says very concerning, Pink says certainly concerning. So I thought that that was probably going to be the response. All of this behavior can be explained as normal childhood development, especially for an only child, an artistic, creative child, a lonely child with few playmates. But the intensity and duration raised eyebrows even then, because Gene, he didn't grow out of it. Not at all. As Gene gets older, 7, 8, 9 years old, neighbors start to notice something strange. Let me present the documented incidents from 1906 to 1915. Multiple neighbors begin to report the same phenomenon. Neighbor number 1, her name was Miss Clarkson, and she lived across the street. She was interviewed years later when asked. "I saw that doll upstairs in the turret room. There's this pretty little tower on the auto house. And I would walk by in the evening and I would see it in one window. The way the turret was, there was a window here, a window here, and a window here. But when I would look out at night, I would see it in the one window on the left. And then I would walk by my room, by my window, and I would look and it would be in the middle window. And then 20 minutes later, I'd look and it would be in the right window. Nobody else was in that room. Just that creepy doll staring out onto the street. Neighbor number 2, Mr. Porter, he lived next door and could look right up at the turret. So I was questioning, Miss Otto about her son. You know, I was just worried about him. I mean, I had known him since the day he was born. And I would walk out in the yard and he would just be talking. But the thing that was really odd was I heard some yelling coming from the house one morning. And you could hear it loud enough that Minnie was telling Jean, "You're not playing with this doll again. Now go put him up in the bedroom and leave him alone." She didn't like that doll. She didn't like it. She thought there was something very unsettling about it. But the craziest thing is, it would move around that room. You would see it in one window and then you'd see it in another window. There was something about it that was just odd. And she even went so far as to tell me that she would find Robert the doll sitting in rooms that she didn't put it in, standing in corners. She'd move it back to Jean's room, and the next day it would be somewhere else. Neighbor number 3 was a delivery boy. His name is unknown. Oh, I brought packages to the Otto house for years. I'd see the doll in the turret window watching me come up the walk. Just watching me. I swear its head turned to follow me. Gave me the chills, that doll did. I started leaving packages on the porch and running as fast as I could. Here's an evidence evaluation for you seekers. These are secondhand reports from neighbors. How reliable do you think they are? Drop it in the chat. Reliable, multiple witnesses, consistent details. Unreliable, neighbors gossip, exaggerate, and misperceive. Maybe, could be real, or could be suggestion, expectations. Reliable, unreliable, reliable, reliable, FYF, 7 out of 10 out of reliable, reliable, reliable. So good critical thinking. The problem with these reports is they're secondhand. They were interviewed years later. But the man said that he had talked to Miss Otto, Minnie Otto, quite a few times, had heard yelling, telling her, why had he moved the doll when she specifically told him not to, had heard stomping, and had seen Robert the doll change windows. These windows were the kind that had like a seat, like a window seat. Beautiful. I love them. So that's how it was able to sit and look out the window. These accounts rely on memory. They could be influenced by later legends. Suggestion is a powerful, powerful thing. But this is the thing, they're consistent. Multiple people reporting the exact same thing. Robert in windows, appearing to move, moving from one location to the next. Possible explanations here. Explanation number 1, Jean was moving Robert. Jean had access to her room. He could have positioned Robert in different windows. The neighbors saw the result of Jean's play. Explanation number 2, Minnie Otto was moving Robert. Despite saying she didn't, maybe she did. Moving Robert while cleaning, then forgetting. Maybe it was the household staff. Human memory is unreliable. Explanation number 3, optical illusion. Shadows and light creating the illusion of movement. Pareidolia, seeing what you expect to see. Once one person reports the doll moved, others look for it. Explanation number 4, Robert was actually moving. Paranormal explanation, the least likely, but the most interesting. Let's keep investigating before we draw conclusions, though, shall we, seekers? The incidents that really disturbed the Otto family happened at night, in Jean's bedroom, when Jean was alone with Robert. Thomas and Minnie Otto would be awakened in the night by sounds from Jean's room. This is as Jean had gotten a little bit older. He was about 8 now. And this is Minnie Otto, as reported in family accounts. I would hear Jean talking in his room at night, having full conversations, 2 distinct voices, Jean's voice and another voice, but one of the voices was lower and harsher and deeper. I'd open the door and find Jean in bed. Robert was sitting in the chair facing him. Jean would say, "Robert and I were just talking, Mother." Thomas Otto's family account. Sometimes we would be laying in bed and the bedroom was right above ours. And I heard furniture moving in Jean's room. Heavy furniture scraping across floor. There's no way my boy could have did that. I went in and Jean was asleep, but the furniture had been rearranged. One time, a dresser was pressed up against the front door. I couldn't even get in to check on my son. The desk moved from one wall to the other. The chair repositioned. I asked Jean in the morning and he said, "Daddy, Robert doesn't like the furniture that way. He moved it." Minnie Otto again. The creepiest part was the giggling. Dear God, the giggling. I'd hear a child giggling in Jean's room. And it was not Jean's laugh. It was a different sound, more mischievous, sometimes mean. I would go in and I would find Jean asleep and Robert would just be sitting on the bed in the shadows, watching me. I'd ask Jean in the morning if he'd been awake laughing, and he would say, "No, Mother." He'd say that it must have been Robert. One night, Minnie Otto heard something that absolutely petrified her. She heard Jean screaming, not playing, genuinely terrified. She ran to his room and found Jean cowering in the corner, crying. Robert was sitting on the bed, positioned as if looking at Jean. The furniture was overturned, and Minnie swears up and down. She said this. I started to notice his expression. It was the expression that changed on Robert. He almost had an irritated look to him. I asked Jean what had happened, and he said that Robert was angry with him. He said that Robert had knocked over the furniture and threatened him. Apparently Jean had threatened to take him out, put him outside. Jean was genuinely afraid of him. Not playing, not pretending. He was afraid of that doll. Reality check here, seekers. Gene is a child alone in his room at night. He claims his doll moved very heavy furniture and threatened him. What's the most likely explanation here? Keep in mind that Gene is a 8-year-old boy. Night terrors? Gene had nightmares, sleepwalking, confusion. Thank you for that lovely present, Peanut Butter Booty. Acting out. Gene moved furniture, blamed Robert for the attention. A genuine fear. Something that actually happened that Gene, as an 8-year-old boy, could not explain. Or was it paranormal? Robert is haunted, possessed. Drop it in the chat. I am beginning to think that something is wrong with this doll. Sunday's mama says Gene did it for attention. Pink says, how would he move all that furniture? Thank you so much, Peanut Butter Booty. I really appreciate it. Thank you, my love. Who's Dead Girl says the doll was possessed. Pink says I'd say Robert is possessed. I'm beginning to think that he is. I'm beginning to think that he is possessed, and I have a very healthy respect for you, Robert the doll. But I do think that that is the case. Sandra says possessed. Tabby says telekinesis. Oh, thank you so much, Peanut Butter Booty. Excellent analysis. Gene, here's what we know for certain. Gene was genuinely afraid, terrified, seemed afraid that night in the room, and it was witnessed by parents. Furniture was moved. Parents confirmed this, and I don't know about you, but I've been in some of these older homes in Key West. I went to Ernest Hemingway's house, saw his adorable little kitties, but the furniture that these people had, I wouldn't even be able to budget. Like, it is so heavy. But then my question is, how is this doll moving this heavy furniture? Hey, Mandy. Gene's explanation was consistent. He never changed his words. Robert did it. Robert did it. Robert did it, Mom. Robert did it, Dad. What we don't know. Did Gene move the furniture himself, either sleepwalking, acting it out, or was there something in Gene? Did Gene have night terrors that felt real to him? Was something paranormal actually happening here? Minnie Otto wanted to get rid of Robert. She hated the doll. The thought of it was absolutely disturbing, and she wanted it out of the house. But Thomas Otto and Gene absolutely refused. They were not going to do that. So they won. Gene wouldn't allow it. Thomas Otto sided with Gene. It's just a doll, Minnie. The boy absolutely loves it. Let him keep it. So Robert stayed in the attic. That was the stipulation. The doll could stay in the house if it was in the attic. Minnie wanted no access to that doll, and she locked the attic door. For the next 68 years. Let's take an intermission, 10 minutes, and when we come back, we will continue tonight's investigation, night 1 of Robert the Doll. I hope you're enjoying it. 4 minutes. That is so creepy. Oh my goodness. So you were there, Peanut Butter Booty? Wow. Who wants to go? I wonder who would want to do that. You're enjoying it? Good, Ginger. Good, good, good. I'm glad to hear it. We are really just getting into this now. We haven't even scratched the surface. Hello, Lisa Rodebush. Thank you for the follow. Do you like the paranormal? Right. Well, you know, it's big, heavy furniture. And hey, Leslie Marie, look at you with all the beautiful hearts. Awesome. Not even a dent. We haven't even scratched the surface yet. Thank you for all the views. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the hearts. Thank you for reposting. Thank you for the presents. Thank you so much. Thank you for reposting. Thank you for the FYF. Thank you everyone for everything. Hey, Shirley. Welcome back in. Hey, Bird Lady. Thank you for the fest gear. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Peanut Butter Booty. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so, so much. I just want to keep bringing y'all the top cases, paranormal cases from around the world. Hey, and if you have an idea for one, drop it in the chat. My mods are watching, my night watchers are watching, and post that in there and they will see to it that I get it. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Ginger Moore. Thank you. Oh, I'm loving these presents. They're beautiful. Were you really, Shirley? So what happened when you saw him? Did you apologize to him and ask for forgiveness and everything? I watched a video on it today, and the way that how respectful that people are to Robert the Doll is amazing. Like, some of them would not even turn their back on him. Like, they would back away as they were walking, like they were backing off. Like, they never turned their back. How's it going over there in the Y channel? What are y'all thinking about tonight's case? Case number 4. Hello, Jennifer. Hey, Carol. California in the house. Oh, thank you so much, Ginger Moore. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I would just back away and be very respectful. I absolutely love Key West. I think it is like stepping back in time. Even the chickens chasing you down the road is great. I know it, Ginger. They're fascinating. Bird Lady, thank you so much. All right, let's get back into the reading. Oh yeah, I believe it. If you haven't reposted, it's not too late. Go ahead and repost. If you haven't put it on your FYF, now's the time. If you haven't tapped, Tappity tap tap tap. Thank you so much. If you're enjoying the story, the paranormal case of Robert the Doll, go ahead and post some black hearts. Welcome back to Paranormal Files Live. I'm Bryn Morgan. I'm a horror author, and I am also a lover, fascinated with the paranormal. And tonight we are exploring case number 4. The door we walk through tonight is Robert the Doll, located in Key West, Florida, in a museum. We're going to take up from where we left off before intermission. Do you like the paranormal? Do you want to investigate with us as we go around the world and explore the most paranormal cases? Have you ever been someone who loves the paranormal, but you're afraid to speak of it out loud because you're afraid that people are going to look at you like you're crazy? Well, you have found your tribe. We all love the paranormal here, and we are going to investigate the most chilling, terrifying, cold paranormal cases from around the world. Let's get back to case number 4, shall we? Night 1, Robert the Doll. Most children outgrow their toys. They move on to other interests. And when Robert was locked away in the attic by Minnie Otto, that's exactly what happened. Jean forgot about Robert. He moved on to other interests and eventually just packed away that doll in the back of his mind. Put him in a trunk, put a lock on it, locked it with the key. Well, most kids do. But Jean Otto, he never did. He lets follow Jean's life. 1915, Jean is 15, and he's a teenager, and he still has Robert. He still goes up to the attic and will go in there and talk to him. Minnie's not so concerned anymore, and she doesn't leave the door locked anymore. He's 15. He still talks to him, carries on conversations with him, sits and holds him. 1918, Jean is now 18 years old. He leaves Key West to attend college in New York, and he studies art, and he's very, very good at it. But he doesn't take Robert with him. Robert stays in the Otto house, in the attic. Minnie Otto is relieved. Finally, the doll is just sitting there in the attic, and with Robert being gone, she just locks the door. The doll isn't causing any problems. Or is it? Because it seems as if everything has stopped. Furniture being moved, things being broken, things being overturned. No more conversations. Everything seems to be back to normal. 1920s. Jean is living in New York and becomes an artist. The Otto family still lives in the Key West house. And Minnie Otto reports that Robert is back at it again. That he's still moving. She'll put him in one position and find him in another. She puts him in a rocking chair in the attic and then goes back up and he's looking out the attic window. She hears footsteps upstairs, but when she goes up to investigate, no one is there. And then she hears that giggling. That terrifying giggling. That night at dinner, she begs Thomas to throw the doll away and he refuses. Jean would be absolutely devastated if you got rid of his doll, Minnie. Are you going senile in your old age? No, I get tired of the sounds and the giggling and the moving around. 1930. Jean is 30 years old now. Jean Otto marries a woman by the name of Anne, and they return to Key West. Jean now is a professional artist, and he's becoming well known in Florida art circles. And Jean moves back into the family home with Robert. Annie Otto meets Robert for the first time, and she immediately hates him. Prediction time. Jean is now a 30-year-old man, professional artiste. What do you think happens with Robert? Drop your prediction. Thank you, Peanut Butter Beauty. Thank you. Robert gets rid of the wife. There you go. Locked up in a trunk. Well possessive of Jean. Good guesses. For sure. Let's see what actually happened. Anne Otto, Jean's new wife, moves into the Otto home in 1930. Jean takes her upstairs to the attic and shows her Robert. There he sits in his sailor suit, buttoned eyes, stitched smile. According to Annie's later accounts to friends and relatives, she felt an immediate revulsion for the doll. Well, what do you think? He's different. Different? Yes, I've had him since I was 6 years old, my love. Just look at him. Look at his craftsmanship. Look how tall he is. Can you imagine me carrying him around this house when I was nothing but a boy myself? Annie just looks at Robert. There's something about him that gives her the chills. Can we get out of here? I don't feel good up here. Well, yeah, but hold on a minute. Jean goes over and grabs up Robert, takes him down to the second floor, to the turret room, and places him on the window seat. Annie always said that it was not that it was just a creepy old doll. It was something worse. Something evil. Annie is sophisticated. She's rational. She's not given to superstition, which makes her reaction all the more significant. Anne Otto described her first meeting with Robert to people over the years. The accounts are consistent. Jean was proud of him. He was extremely proud of Robert. He wanted me to meet someone that was important to him. That's what he said when we arrived at the house, and I was fully expecting it would be like a beloved servant or, something like that. But when we walked upstairs in the attic and saw this old doll, I shivered in revulsion. And then for him to pick it up and take it downstairs to the turret room, I was afraid the doll was going to get me in the night. It was just a very large, very unsettling doll. And sitting in that little rocking chair that Jean had for it just made it all the creepier, to be honest. And when he introduced us, well, that was the creepiest part of all. He looked at Robert and said, "Robert, this is Anne. Anne, this is Robert. I hope that you get along just as swimmingly." I'm not getting along with no doll, particularly one that creepy. And then he started bringing it to the dinner table, sitting in the parlor with us at night when we were listening to music. One night, Jean and I were dancing, and I could just feel the doll staring at me. Oh, I hated it so. I tried to laugh it off. Every morning that I would walk by the turret room to go to our bedroom, I would look in. It was as if something just pulled me to it, and I would see it. And it was always staring at me. It didn't matter if it was on the bed, or if it was on the window seat, or it was sitting in a chair. It was always staring at me, and I would say, "Hello, Robert. It's nice to meet you." But when Jean left the room to bring up our luggage, I was alone with that doll. Or when he would go downstairs to breakfast and I was trying to take my shower and fix my hair, I always felt watched. I know how this sounds. I am a perfectly rational woman. But I felt hostile eyes on me every time that doll looked at me. I turned and the doll was positioned as if looking at me. But when I would try to say something to Jean, he would just laugh it off. "There's nothing wrong with Robert. Maybe it's you." One night, we were upstairs. A hurricane was coming. The servants were helping us to batten up the windows, the doors. Robert disappeared. I didn't know where he went. And then I turned around and he was coming in my room with this doll. I told him, I said, "You either take that creepy doll out of this room and back to his room, or I move it out. I am going to move out of this bedroom because I'm not sleeping with some creepy doll who stares at me in the middle of the night." Jean got angry. Actually angry with me, and said that Robert was scared to be up in the turret room with the storm. And I told him, I said, "Well, Robert has his own room and he can stay there. You do know that he is nothing but stuffing and nonsense." And Jean turned at me and said, "You're wrong, Anne. Robert is a member of this family. And if you want me, then you have him too." I thought he was joking. He wasn't. Anne's reaction. Is she being melodramatic, seekers, or genuinely sensing something about Robert the doll? Drop your thoughts. Melodramatic, overreacting to a creepy old doll. Genuine, actually sensing that something is wrong, or disliking the doll because it represents Jean's childhood attachment, perhaps? Yes, he has his own room. He was his first friend. Exactly. Genuine, sensing something is wrong with Jean. All three. Who's that girl? I think my husband was sick in the head. Renee says both. Ginger Moore says genuinely attached. Here you go, affecting the relationship. Sunny's mom says red flags. Oh, I'm so glad you like the narration. Thank you. I try to add every bit in. All of it's plausible. Here's what makes Anne's testimony interesting. She had absolutely no knowledge of the childhood incidents. She wasn't prone to superstitions. By all accounts, Anne Otto was very sensible, very rational. She was a science woman. Her reaction was immediate and visceral. If Mr. Night Queen was to walk in our bedroom with a big old doll, I'd leave the room completely. She maintained her dislike of Robert for 44 years, until Jean's death. Anne Otto tried multiple times to convince Jean to get rid of Robert. Jean refused every single time. I am not getting rid of that doll. That is mine. It's a doll, Robert. You're carrying around a doll. Robert stayed in the turret room. She tried to move it up to the attic just as Minnie had, but Jean wasn't going to allow that. And according to Anne, the incidents continued and strengthened. She began to hear furniture moving overhead, lights blinking off and on, giggling coming from the turret room. There were no children. Jean and Annie Otto lived in that house at 534 Eaton Street for 44 years. Jean becomes a prominent artist in Key West. The house is full of his paintings, his host artist gatherings. It's a cultural hub. He was big friends with Ernest Hemingway. I mean, he was in all the social circles. And there is Robert, sitting in the tourist room. Jean visits him daily, talks to him, still insists that Robert is real, and tolerates it, but just barely. What Anne reported during these years to friends and relatives is crazy. Or is it? Incident number 1. Robert moving. I am telling you, there is something wrong with that doll. Mother, the doll moves. I will position him in his chair, and later I find him in a different position. Sometimes in a different room entirely. Anne, that makes no sense, my dear. Mother, he's moving around my house. Oh, what do you think? That he's climbing the stairs? Perhaps it's just the servants playing a game on you. Or perhaps your dearly beloved Jean. She blamed Jean. And Jean denied moving it and said that he never did it. Incident number 2, the footsteps. Footsteps in the turret room when no one is there. Anne would go to one of the servants. Were you just upstairs? No, ma'am. Is anybody in the turret room? No, ma'am. Anne creeps up the stairs one night. She can hear the footsteps. Jean is gone. He's gone to a painting exhibition, and she hears it outside the door. Small footsteps, child-sized, pacing back and forth, back and forth. Incident number 3, the giggling. That same childlike giggling that Minnie Otto reported. Coming from the turret room, Jean would smile and say, "Oh, nothing to worry about. Robert's just happy today." Incident number 4. This is where it gets creepy. Anne swears up and down to the servants and to family and friends that Robert's expression is changing. What do you mean his expression is changing? Jean! Sometimes he looks benign, and then other times he looks angry at me. I swear that doll wants to hurt me, Jean. Why are you choosing it over me? She said that its button eyes seemed to follow her wherever she went. Incident number 5, the locked room. One morning, Anne had just had enough. She went into the turret room. She had had no sleep. All she heard was footsteps and giggling. She grabs Robert by the arm, hauls him up the stairs to the attic room, throws him in, and locks the door. Later that day, Anne reported that she found Robert, the doll, sitting at the bottom of the stairs. Now here's the thing. When she went upstairs to check the attic, it was locked. But Robert was at the bottom of the steps. And Jean wasn't home. Let's analyze these incidents with adult Jean in the house. What's the most likely explanation for each? Quick vote. Jean is moving Robert around, either consciously or sleepwalking. B. Anne is misremembering, or she's exaggerating. She's making all this up. Or C. There is something genuinely paranormal in this house. I think it's paranormal. I'm just gonna go with paranormal. I don't think that Jean is moving Robert around. I think there is something badly wrong with this doll. This doll has been around too much. Who's That Girl says, Gingermore says, I'd lose my mind. Oh, I wouldn't even be in the house. I know that for an absolute fact. Ginger says C, Palm says C. Okay, so most of you are going with me. Who's That Girl, Paranormal, Sunday's Mama A, Bossman C, Karen C, Affecting People, Robert is Paranormal C. There's just too many things going on. I really do think that there is a spirit attached to it. Maybe there is something with something being put on that doll. I mean, I don't know. Pink says, I'd be like, bye, I'm getting a divorce. I don't believe they ever had children. I'll find out here in a minute, but I don't believe that they ever did. So, most of you are going with C. I've seen a couple A's. Hey, Amy. That's the rational assessment. Jean has access and could be misremembering, but I highly doubt that. I am leaning more and more and more toward Robert being paranormal. And here's the other problem if you were A or B. Other people started reporting Robert too. Uh-oh. Yes. During the 1930s and the 1970s, many people visited the Otto home. Many people stayed overnight. Artists, gallery owners, friends, delivery people, and many reported experiences with Robert. These are documented accounts from visitors. Account number 1 was a gallery owner. It was 1940, and he was there to view Jean's artwork. I was invited to view Jean's new paintings. He had been working really hard, and he took me upstairs to his studio, which he had converted from a bedroom into a studio, and it was near this turret room. As we passed, I glanced in, and I saw this large doll sitting in a rocking chair, and I could have swore that the chair was rocking. And I told Gene, I said, I think your chair's rocking with your doll in it, and he just laughed. But when we came out of his room, his studio, I looked back in that room, and I swear that doll was turned toward the door, and he was looking at me. I swear it. I told this to people at the time. I saw that doll turn his head out of the corner of my eye and watch us walk by. And I stopped. And I even backed up a little bit. And I didn't think anything about it. But the next morning, I clearly remember when I was sleeping in my bedroom hearing my door handle rattle. And then I had to make a walk to the bathroom. And that was the creepiest part of all. Gene was with me, and he was going to his studio. And he was looking at me again. And I swear the doll had a smile on his face. It's like he was smirking at me. And I told Gene about it, and I said, that doll just moved. And he just smiled and said, that's Robert. He's curious about visitors. I thought he was joking. Now I don't think he was. Account number 2, a delivery man in the 1950s. I delivered packages to the Otto house regularly. One day, Miss Otto answered the door. She was a pretty thing. So happy, so full of life when she first came there. But little by little, every day that I delivered a package to her door, she was just frowning. She looked scared of her own shadow. We stood there. It was Christmas. And I heard a child giggle. And I said, Miss Otto, got a little boy visiting you for the holidays? And she said, no. He said, well, it sounds like a child is in there having fun. And she turned and she looked at me and she said, I have no child. She looked at me coldly and she said, we have no children. And the giggling just continued. So she turned to get my present. She gets me a present every year, a can of cookies. And I peeked around the door and looked in, and I could hear it just as clear as anything. There was a child in that house. I said, ma'am, are you sure there's not a child in there? I just want to make sure I'm not losing my mind. And she said, that's Robert. Ignore it. And don't come back here again. And she slammed the door in my face. Account number 3 was a dinner guest. Her name was Beth. Jean and Anne post the most marvelous parties, especially in the summer, because it's so hot there. And Jean offered to show me and my husband his studio. I had bought quite a few of his pieces, and they were just, well, they were lovely. On the way upstairs, he insisted that we stop and say hello to Robert. And I turned and looked at Anne, and her face was just a mask. Downstairs at dinner, she had been smiling and laughing, but when we went upstairs, her whole demeanor changed. And then, well, Mr. Otto opened the door to this room, and he insisted that we say hello to this doll. Its name was Robert, and there was this massive doll in Victorian children's clothing. And Jean said, "Robert, these are my friends. Please be polite to them tonight, where there are a guest." I laughed so nervously, but I wanted to get out of that room as quickly as I could. But as we walked away, I heard it. I know what I heard. I heard a child's voice say, "Goodbye." It wasn't Jean's voice, because Jean was walking ahead of me with my husband. Anne and I were side by side, and it came from that room. I turned back and the doll was positioned differently. I'm certain of it. Multiple witnesses across decades report similar phenomena, seekers. This changes things, right? Drop your updated assessment. Are you more skeptical than you were before? Coordinated stories, suggestions, legend building? Or perhaps you're less skeptical now? Too many witnesses for mass delusion? Or are you unsure? You need more evidence. The sparklers were beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Jackie O'Connell. Nope, paranormal, Pink says. Sunny says legend building. Ginger Moore says I believe it. Karen says paranormal. Julie says paranormal. I'm still going with paranormal. I think it's a pretty strong case. I think it's good critical thinking. The accumulation of witnesses is interesting, but it doesn't prove paranormal activity, or does it? Now, here's a possible, few things that it could be. People influencing each other's memories, legend building over time, expectation creating experience. But again, it boils down to it's a lot of reports. And I'm leaning heavily on Anne and Minnie. Here's the turning point. 1974, Jean Otto dies at age 74 from cancer. According to witnesses, at his deathbed, his last words included something about Robert. Different accounts say that he made Anne swear, "Take care of Robert. Robert will be fine. Tell Robert I'm sorry." Anne Otto is now a 77-year-old widow, alone in a house with Robert the doll. And she wants him gone. Not a turret, not an attic, not a basement. Gone. After 44 years of hating Robert, Anne is finally free of Jean. What do you think she does with the doll? Drop your prediction. I would not take care of Robert. Pink says sells him. Julie says, oh boy. Who's Dead Girl says apparently she kept him. Gets rid of him. Builded his own house. That is too funny. Well, Anne Otto lives in the house alone for several years after Jean's death, and as much as she hates this doll, Robert remains in the turret room. According to her neighbors and friends, Anne refuses to go in that room at all. She keeps the door closed and locked. But she doesn't throw Robert away. Why not? Let's go through some different theories, shall we? Theory number 1, respect for Jean's memory. Robert was important to Jean, so she keeps him. Theory number 2, fear. She's afraid of what Robert might do if she gets rid of him. Theory number 3, legal property concerns. Robert might be valuable as part of Jean's estate. Theory number 4, she's tried and can't. Some claim that she attempted to throw Robert away multiple times, but he came back. In 1976, Anne moves out of the house. She's elderly, the house is too large, she can't maintain it. The house is sold. And Robert is left behind in the turret room. The new owners, 1976 to 1994. Multiple families' owners cycle through the house. Reports vary, but several report a doll in the turret room. Creepy, but just a doll. Children in one family refuse to go near it. One family reports their daughter having nightmares about the doll man. So Robert is left in the house. For 18 years, different families live there. If Robert is genuinely haunted or cursed, what would you expect to happen during this time? Drop your theory. Who's That Girl says, I'm not sure now. Mia says, wow. Ginger Moore says, paranormal occurrences. Yep. Lots of moving around and stuff. Well, reports are mixed. So some families report nothing. Others report extreme unease. One family reported that their younger daughter insisted that the doll man watched her. In 1994, though, something changes. Robert goes to a museum. Now, there was one woman, and this was before Robert went to the museum, and she died in that house. She claimed to family and friends that she hated that doll and that she wanted him gone. So she had decided that she was going to sell him. And she was unalived. Whether from natural occurrences or what have you, from what I understand from reports, she fell down the stairs. So it's 1994 now. Robert is donated to the East Martello Museum in Key West. And that's where the modern legend really begins. Because in the museum, with thousands of visitors, with cameras, with documentation, the reports explode. People photograph Robert and their cameras malfunction. People mock Robert and report bad luck afterward. People see Robert's expression change. People feel watched, threatened, and cursed. The museum starts receiving letters, apology letters, begging letters. One such letter says, "Dear Robert, I'm sorry I didn't believe. Please forgive me. My life has fallen apart since I vanished. I'll never doubt you or your presence again." Another one from a girl. She just calls her name Krista. "I am begging you, Robert, to give my life back as it was before. I am sorry that I smiled and made fun of you. I'm sorry. Please. I'm no longer engaged to be married. I've lost my job. I've lost everything. Please, return my life back to me. I'm sorry." Before we end tonight, after learning about Robert's origins and Jean Otto's relationship with him, what's your current theory? Is it haunted? Is something paranormal about that doll? Not haunted. Jean had psychological issues and projected it onto the doll. Complicated, maybe both, and rather than either, or you still need more evidence. You're reserving your judgment for now. This is crazy. I've got the chills. Wow, wow, wow. Yes, haunted, possessed, haunted, paranormal. Yes, there is something about that doll. Glenna says it's haunted. Who's that girl? She dabbed in something, don't remember the name. Melanie, paranormal. Karen, definitely paranormal. Right, I wish we knew whose hands cursed the doll, who made him know it's the German company. Right, so I definitely think that something was put on that doll. I really, really do. And we're gonna dive deeper into it on Wednesday night. So we are just scratching the surface. What question do you need answered on Wednesday that wasn't answered tonight? What aspect of Robert so far are you the most curious about? Drop your questions. Wednesday night, we will investigate adult Jean's relationship with Robert and Otto's escalating fear and hatred, the incidents in the house during the 1940s and 1970s. Oh yes, we haven't covered them all. Jean's death and Robert's abandonment, and we'll set up the museum years. This case is just beginning. Before you go tonight, think about this. Jean Otto carried a childhood attachment to a doll into his 70s. He talked to it daily, insisted that it was real, defended it against his wife's attempts to remove it. Is that mental illness? Eccentricity? Artist imagination? Or did Jean know something that we don't? Remember, Minnie Otto said that she heard someone arguing behind the door with her son, a deeper, darker voice. Did he know that Robert really was alive? And if Robert is haunted, what haunts him? The spirit of a child? Something darker, perhaps? Or the collective belief of everyone who's ever feared him? Thank you for investigating with me tonight. Did Robert really creep you out? Say totally creeped out. If you're coming back Wednesday, drop an I. If you're doing research on Robert between now and Wednesday, say, I'm going to search because I'm a seeker. Until Wednesday, if you have dolls in your house, maybe check on them tonight. Check to see if their expressions have changed or if their position has moved. Make sure that you're where you left them. This is Bryn Morgan signing off from Paranormal Files Live. I will see you on Wednesday night.